Chair, I hope you can see that. Now, that delivery actually has a stamp when it was received by your county government. Governor, that date is 22nd June 2024, receiving a document on 1st of July 2024. There are games being played. And there is another concern that the Auditor General has raised, that this particular supplier was non-responsive at the initial stage. How is it possible that they ended up getting this tender? I don't think there is any explanation.
So I think for clarity, the attempt to rejig the dates to fit within the procurement cycle is unacceptable just by dint of your own submissions. If I would have seen a date acknowledging this amendment by Narinyo within the time frames, we would not be asking this question. But this is a letter that could be printed in cyber in Maralal. Unless, Governor, you have some explanation, but you need to be outraged. Because you are the one getting embarrassed, but there are people around you who are doing these things and bringing records to Senate that do not make sense.
Chair, they think we don't read. I think that's the assumption.
Now, let's go beyond that, and maybe for time, because we have established that these are records that are not admissible.
Senator, one day, I know you're going to run for governor.
Governor,
and I hope you'll become a governor.
Governor order. Governor order. You will talk to Cherargei directly outside this meeting. You have procured.
But I don't buy tea.
Governor, let's come back to this, Senator Cherargei. We will be running away from the issue, and for 104 million shillings, 104 million shillings, not small money, 104 million shillings. What did you buy, and who received it? You know, that was a thrust of this audit query, that analysis of the food procured per type, distribution lists and deliveries, bases used for identification were not provided for audit review. What you have done in your response is to clarify the policy. How do we know that 104 million, if it bought rice and cooking oil, it was given to the children of Samburu and not children of another area, or it didn't go to people's pockets? That, to me, is a most significant question that we must deal with here. How do we know that 104 million benefited the children and the people of Samburu? Governor, I think that's a question, and even for you, you'd be happy to explain how that 104 million got to the people of Samburu. Where is the evidence?
Well, there's a beneficiary list in the file, and Senator, we have a CEO here for education who buys this food and distributes.
Yeah, where is he?
Why don't you allow him to say something?
Yeah. Can you tell us? Can you give us that assurance? Is it the guy with the other discredited letter?
Okay, let's hope this one is going to be better.
Yeah. So, Chair, attached, there is that.
Sorry, who is this?
I'm David Lanakula, Chief Officer, Education. So what I'm saying is that there is a distribution list for all the ECD centers.
Annex what?
I think it is just in that Annex 20B. 20A, 20A.
20A, just point us to it.
And there are also deliveries acknowledging receipt of the same.
Yeah, there are annexures, just run us through them.
Yeah.
Chair, I can confirm my set of documents does not have what that officer is speaking about.
Officer, my set of documents, Annex 20A, has got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 delivery notes.
Yes.
So tell us what they mean.
Those are the deliveries to the ECD centers, the named ECD centers.
So these 5 account for the 104 million?
No, it's just a sample of that. We have a very big file for the deliveries, all the ECD centers. And then we also have the distribution lists for all the centers in Samburu County. But Chair, when we talk about education, I want to say the 104 million is not for education only. But
How much of it was education?
Education, what I'm talking about here is 10 million for Nari.
10 million.
Yes.
So,
But you see, I think we also have other food substances that are being given out, say for example in the health sector. But for us, we are talking about the 10 million for Nari.
so you are 10 million out of 104 million.
Yes.
So who accounts for the remaining 94 million?
I think that is also a query. That's what we are also trying to get from the auditors.
Yeah, please give us the answer, because the auditor cannot give an answer.
Thank you, Chair. What auditor queried are two payments, one amounting to 1.9 and the other one is 2.5. That's the annexes that we have provided for.
I am reading the auditor's report, which says that out of 348 million, an amount of 104 million was incurred on food and ration. However, analysis of the food procured per type, distribution list of the beneficiaries and deliveries, the basis used on beneficiaries identification, selection, and the acknowledgement confirmation of receipt of the food and rations by the beneficiaries were not provided for audit review. We have not made up that query. It is there. It was in your management letter, in your draft certificate, in the final certificate.
And
give
Chair,
us the answer to
and
that.
Chair, what we have here in the list of beneficiaries, these are schools.
Which is
When
10 million.
schools receive the foodstuffs, how do they indicate that they have received? Because then, as part of evidence, we don't just need a list. Morijo, ECD, Lelere, Kujita, Loinganyai,
If you look at Annexure 2A, there is that delivery note.
2A.
Yes.
2A, 20A.
There is the delivery 20A, sorry. There is a delivery note. This one has even...
Is a delivery note signed by the school or it is signed by the receiving officers? Because I'm imagining that the food from the supplier comes to some receiving center and they issue a delivery note, of which then an invoice is given against that delivery note for payment. But when you distribute the schools in the food in the ECD centers, who makes sure that the food has reached the destination, the last mile?
There is a sign when the teacher receives the food, they sign against the delivery note.
I think the Chief Officer Education has done fairly well for himself, because he has said he takes responsibility for 10 million. And the samples that he has given us here are for the first one. The first school received 2 bags of rice. The second one, 2 bags of rice, that's 4. The other one, 2 bags of rice, that's 6. The other one, 3 bags of rice, that's 9. The other one, 2 bags of rice, that's 11. He has accounted for 11 bags of rice. The total amount is 100 million. So, if the chief officer has provided some samples, who is supposed to provide samples for the remaining 90 million? The remaining 94 million?
Chair.
At least Chief Officer Education amejitetea.
Chair.
Hiyo ingine ilienda wapi?
Chair, this is what I'm saying. What we have here, we have just sampled the school. In fact, the files are very, very big.
No, Chief Officer, you have said in your department you can account for 10 million.
Yes.
Leave it there. Who accounts for the 94 million?
Yeah, and some food went to the hospitals. Do you have Chief Officer Health to account for the rest? Or the number of bags that went to the hospitals?
I think under health, you also you can also find the same.
Can you speak for health?
No.
Yeah, then let the person who's competent to do so and point us to the supporting
And Chair, the
documentation.
chief officer should know that just like he's giving us samples to show some deliveries, the sample that the Auditor General went with on the question of delivery of cooking oil has left us with very many questions about what is going on there. So we need to have a clearer picture of everything. In fact, if it were possible, Chair, we would sample every single line of foodstuff under this program, because we can see there are problems there. Whenever we encounter entities here that come and
backdate documents and appear like the procurement process was rigged to favor people, it's questions we have to raise for the people of Samburu. So you, because you have carried your burden well, I think at least according to the chair,
Let the one for health also speak for themselves.
Yeah, so Governor, we've got a long list here of ECDs, but your officer tells us that's about 10 million. Where did 94
million worth of food supplies go? That was the question the auditor was asking at the time of audit. Governor, are you responding on that, or there is an officer you want to respond?
I want the CFO to respond because at the point of payment, he's the one that pays everything county, irrespective whether it's health or...
CFO, we've gotten a picture of ECDs, which we are told is about 10 million. What about the 94 million?
I think total amount of money allocated to education for foodstuffs is that's 70 million.
70 million?
Yes.
So your officer has got the wrong number?
Yes, he needs to account the rest. And also that...
He needs to account for the rest?
Yes.
But you cannot be asking your officer to account for the rest here,
No, he provided for a sample of 10 million.
No. The sample is less than 10 million. He says what went into education program is about 10 million. Now you are saying it is 70 million.
Yes, and the rest went to health.
So the difference, the gap between 10 and 70 million, who accounts for it?
Education.
And Chief Officer, you are the one who is making the payments to the suppliers. How do you tell the other chief officers to account for?
I think we need to allow...
that payment is not made centrally, it is made by the departments.
If someone has to have tea, then it needs to be CFO and Chief Officer Education.
Yes.
So that you're on the same page.
Correct.
You can't give different answers. I think you guys need to align.
Just allow me this. We are one of the few counties that do ECD school feeding program, which I like because
which is very good.
Just allow me to finish.
There's no doubt.
I'm going to be very brief.
But there we even praise your CEO
I'm going to be very brief. I'm not even praising myself, but I want to correct the CEO education, even if he's the accounting officer. We are one of the few that feeds kids, and it helps. When I got in, we had 30,000 ECD kids going to Samburu. Samburu is a small county, so it might not sound like a big...
good in an education committee.
It might not sound a big number to Sifuna, who is a senator for Nairobi.
Governor...
Now we have 41,000 kids.
Governor, with a lot of respect, you know parliamentary procedure. In the next 10 minutes, we must adjourn. Okay. So that's why I just wanted us to have this one very direct answers to the 104 million.
Allocate 70 to 75 million, and it is in the budget. The budget document is a public document to ECD program each year.
That is the budget.
Every term is about 25 million. So the answer given by the CEO education in my sitting here is inaccurate, because even if you're dealing with one term, it's about 25 million.
Okay. Pause it there. Senator Chirarke.
Chair, maybe we can go to page 26. On the certificate. Okay. Chair, under specialized materials, on the notes, that is note number 10 of 348 million. And I think that is where the OAG generated the query, because if you read at the query, including is 348 million, 010,691. So unless the governor is disowning the financial statements, because I don't think the OAG would generate something without the basis. The basis, and we said, and your director took it casually, and he even went ahead at some point by saying, you know, these documents, we did it with a team. Is the governor disowning the financial statements? Because the OAG generated from somewhere on this specialized material of 348 million, and we have seen governor in annex, even in the counter requisition, issuance of voucher, the payment and requests can only be accounted for 10 million. So that question will remain. So, Governor, do you disassociate yourself from your own financial statements? Under specialized material services, that is note number 10, page 26 of the certificate.
Governor?
Because you are saying it is in the budget, but your own documents is saying something else. No, you are the one who said it is in the budget 70 million. This is on financial statements.
What specific item?
I thought you said in your budget of education is 70 million.
Yeah,
Didn't
I
it say?
said, and I was not very precise on the figures, that I know for sure.
So
that
you are
every
running
year,
away
just allow
from
me
your
to
own
say,
statement.
I was not referring to any statement. I'm just saying, I was just speaking about the school feeding program. We allocate about 70 to 75 million. What I know every term takes about 25 million to feed our kids. We have 3 terms. Sometimes it varies 70, sometimes it's 78, sometimes depending on supply.
Yeah, Governor,
So, Chair,
the policy is okay, but the numbers must make sense.
Yes.
I've seen where Senator Cherargei is coming from. It's 104 out of that amount that has been queried.
Correct.
Your Chief Officer Education has attempted, and in your response, you have given us the answer that, to clarify, there was no particular basis for beneficiary identification. All public ECD centers automatically qualify to receive these supplies. Your officer says he can account for 10 million. Your CFO says it should be 70 million. Assuming it was 70 million, who accounts for the remainder of the 30 million, 34 million?
The remainder of the 34 million will be accounted by the CFO in numbers. But
CFO, can you account for the 34 million?
Why it goes? It goes to different.
Yes, we can account for that because it's a budget allocated for food stuff for hospitals. The 35 million.
We must move from budget to expenditure because those two are different. That is what the auditor is asking. CFO, did you not see what the auditor was asking, which was extremely straightforward, that you just needed to provide for audit review analysis of food procured per type? Auditor General, was that provided?
Analysis of food procured per type.
It wasn't provided, Chair.
Distribution list of beneficiaries. Was that provided?
At the time of audit, it was not provided.
And again, they've said that there was no, and then basis used on beneficiaries identification and selection. Was that provided for audit?
No, it was not provided.
So everything we are dealing with here is speculation. The only part you have attempted to justify is what has come from education. The rest on health or whatever other function.
Yeah, the CO health is here.
Is not on record.
I have the CO health here.
CO health, can you point us to the annexure with the explanation that you are going to make, you're about to make? Remember,
thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Just a minute. Remember, these written responses were tabled by the governor under oath.
So we take them to be true. So if you're going to say something outside of this, tell us so that we put you under oath.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe just a clarification on health, because I think during the audit, the health department was able to account for the food procured under health, and that's why it is not in the audit query.
So this 104 million does not include the health?
I think it is in the within the budget.
Officer, how do you know that health is outside the 104 million?
Yeah, because, okay, I'm saying because it is part of the food and rations in the budget. Allocation for health is about 40 million. But we were able to account for all of it, and it was not queried.
Who told you it was not queried? Who said so? Who told you?
Maybe the...
Use the words of Sifuna.
The auditors can confirm.
Who told you? The governor has given you an opportunity to explain because he says you have an explanation. And you are saying it was not queried.
Officer, for your benefit, the whole amount of 104 was queried. So whereas your colleague seated next to you has been able to provide samples for his portion, 10, and at some point the governor was saying the CEO for health should carry the entire cross. Governor, do you usually see these people, or Samburu is such a vast county that you don't have meetings before you come to the Senate?
Thanks. Sorry, Senator, would tell us that if you are doing a financial year, all financial year, and you've allocated over 70 million to education, and I know it's part of these food rations, there is no way the CEO is only telling us about 10 million. It's not possible.
No, that's when we agreed that maybe the numbers, and they can sort that out. And I said, let's assume it was 70 million. It still leaves 34 million.
Yeah,
and that 34 million you said is accounted for under health. And the Chief Officer Health claims that he was not queried. And that's why, to avoid a situation where we look like we are scandalizing you guys, I might even want to call timeout for this team to go and organize itself.
Because Chair, I was wondering, Governor, if you were me, seated here as a senator, how do you reconcile the position that have been taken by the health chief officer and your position and what the education CEO is telling us? How do you reconcile that? Who is telling the truth between the three of you?
It's absurd because, as the chairman put it rightfully, who told him, the way he said, that this is not an education. So I want to agree with that. But I think, Chair, I want to ask kindly the auditors here to also help us. Because within this 104, which is lumped as food rations, I know for sure that this food for rations is from different departments. There must be for education, as you said, there must be for...
Yeah. You know, Governor, if you are to answer this question and your officers, the question was very clear. However, analysis of the food procured per type. When you are coming to the Senate, is it possible to have the food procured per type? Maize, this number of bags. Beans, this number of bags. Lentils, this number of bags. And then, if you ask something like the basis used on beneficiary identification stroke selection, it is possible, if it is food for ECDs, is there a policy on food so that you say all ECDs are supposed to get this amount of food, maybe number of grams per child, so the ones who have more kids, a policy, you bring a policy. We identified the schools and the amount we gave because there's a policy. It's possible to answer these questions properly if you read with the officers and answer the questions specifically depending on the questions that are asked. Otherwise, if you look at these annexures and everything we've answered, it doesn't answer the questions.
Senator Chirage, when you look at the time, you can give us a comment that moves us forward.
Chair, I think I agree with you that this entity needs time out because there is no way in the audit practice that auditor will generate 104 million without the auditing entity providing necessary schedule. So it is not from abstract, it is not from vacuum. It is generated from the schedules that were provided by the entity during the audit. So, Chair, looking at 104 million or whichever the number the entity wants to move to, I think will not do justice if only 10 million can be accounted for, yet the entity is not providing further information. So, Chair, with your indulgence, looking at the time and we are supposed to reconvene in the next 5 minutes, we adjourn and give the entity and the governor further time to provide clarity, because at the end of the day, Chair, the people of Samburu would want to know each and every shilling that we give to Samburu will accounted blow by blow. I think that will do justice. I yield back, Chair.
Me to also,
Governor,
I want to seek some intelligence also on that. Please allow me as a committee, because I also want to know everything about the 104, and I know it is there, only that these people are messed up. You see it out there too. Please allow me to do a written response, a very good written response on each and every item that was bought, on the beneficiaries, on the amount of all this 104, and send to the committee.
Remember, at the beginning of this meeting, we indicated that we did an affirmative action allocation of 374 million. And that one is not hypothetical. That one is actual. That one, irrespective of the outcome of DORA, Samburu is going to get 300 million plus over and above every other county. But when we have a query on 104 million, which we are not making sense out of, it makes some of us who are not beneficiaries start feeling bad, that we are throwing good money after bad money. So yes, we will require a very detailed explanation, but we have covered probably just about 30% of the issues that are here. But my experience with Samburu is that today we have done better than we have ever done before. Because in the past, we have dealt more with procedural and technicalities and extraneous matters. At least today we are looking at the numbers, At least today we are speaking to the professionals. At least today we are putting to task the persons given responsibility under the PFM Act and regulations. And I think that the employees of Samburu do not think that the governor will take all the bullets and take all the arrows and we shall get away. There will be those arrows that will be aimed at the governor CEO, but everyone must also take individual responsibility. It is untidy when chief officers of the same entity come to the Senate with different numbers. And I do not want to extend that spectacle for too long. I want the governor to have a sense of outrage, go back home, take administrative action. I want the governor to commit that you will have a conversation with the Auditor General before you come to the Senate. Because if there had been an engagement, I don't know whether there was an engagement between your office and the Auditor General before this meeting. Auditor General, can you confirm?
Yes, I confirm that we met after after when they submit their responses. We had an engagement with them. We went through the documentation.
Who was leading that delegation?
CC Finance.
So CC Finance, you must do better because it's like you went for revision and then now the exam has come. And then it looks like it's paper 2 that has been brought out because now you're looking clueless. So we are going to allow you time to sit with your team. I don't like when members of the same team speak different languages because it indicates a breakdown in something. And we must demonstrate to the people of Samburu that this exercise is not a witch hunt. It is not about personal vendetta or any personal pursuit. We want Samburu to succeed. It can only succeed if the structures are working and if the officers are working in one accord. I think, members, I don't know whether there's anything much to say, but we must allow Samburu to reorganize themselves and we reinvite them on another day for us to deal with the residual matters. The receiver of revenue report we have not addressed. Earlier on in our consideration, we noticed that you treat hospital fees differently from other counties. You don't disclose it in your receiver of revenue statement. And it's a matter that we have discussed with the National Treasury on the right thing to do. We will give you another date on a day when we have more time. And Governor, I want to encourage you that when you give you that date, please come. As you have seen, that when you apply our minds to working for the people, we can get the job done, irrespective of our politics and irrespective of our personal differences. Any other comment from my members before the governor makes his closing remarks? Senator Ezena.
Thank you, Chair. It's been wonderful joining your committee for the first time, and I appreciate being here. And I want to agree with you fully that it is important that we give the county government of Samburu more time to go and bring very detailed responses and all the particulars. And I also want to encourage them that sometimes when you appear before this meeting, bring extra details, even those that you've not been asked for, because I noticed there was a gap whereby there's a question that comes up with the senators and the document is not there, but it is there. I know you have it in the county. So just be extra prepared. Come with extra details that you might think will strengthen your argument. And I also think, Chair, you need to tell the governor that during the meeting with the OAG, he needs to be there also, so that he's appraised of what the CCs are doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Zena. Governor, your closing remarks?
Sure. Let me thank you very much because of your leadership today. And I think one reason, apart from us being better, as you said, one reason why we did better is today we didn't have, I think this is how I would love to see us facing the committee of Senate next time. We deal with issues and you help us correct one or two things, then it helps the people of Samburu move forward. I want to go back with these people and see what I can do. Some of them have not done very well. And I will have to take some administrative action, whatever that will be. Finally, Senator, I will come here every time that I'll be invited to come to this committee. I want to make that committee. Sometimes we end up being part of some bodies, and those bodies make decisions. And because you are part of those bodies, you end up being part of that decision, even if it was not your own decision. The issues we had before came through the Council of Governors. If we were to be left, each one of us, I would have been here and no problem. We just did very well. So please understand that we also have those kind of issues. And we have nothing against anyone, nothing against the committee. More so, nothing against coming here so that we can all help the people of Samburu. I wanted to speak about my...
I think where you have left it is very good. It's very good. Let's not belabor it. We have agreed that we are progressing.
But how did you know where I'm going, sir? Chairman, I've had a very bad experience my last time in the Senate, and it is disservice to me if I don't say that.
Let's not go there. You have just commended me for avoiding sideshows throughout the meeting, so let's not bring them at the end. I think our commitment is that we shall be very fair. We shall be very fair with the governors who appear before us, but we shall also be firm, very firm, as the law requires, on the governor and the team to whom we send money. We shall communicate the recommendations on the few issues you have dealt with, and also communicate the date of our next meeting. I hope that when you come, all your ducks will be in a row and everyone will be speaking the same language. The meeting is therefore adjourned.
Chair, of the work that we do here with senators in paperwork, it is very important. It also helps if one day this committee, this good committee, can take a... I go to Samburu every week, so it would not hurt the committee if 1 week you would come to Samburu, go see the feeding programs, go confirm the, those things that we do here. I think it helps because your intentions are good. You want this money that comes from here to be utilized well in Samburu. It will help if you look at the paperwork. It also helps if you could come and see small kids feeding on the food that we are talking here.
No, I agree, Governor. I totally agree. We can come and look at the 10 million, but we'll still query the 94 million. This meeting is adjourned.